Sergeant Major Molina. If you can come up here just so people on the screen can see you. This tape is about where the TV camera can see you. So Sergeant Major Molina and his better half Susan are here and their children, so thanks for coming. Next is our XO, Major Adam Sacchetti. He is here with his wife Tracy. Thank you for coming. And the man of the hour, Mark Sperling, our Family Readiness Officer, who's been with 2-4 for almost 8 years, putting these things on together. So a lot of these folks will be talking tonight, but really the name of the game is to make you as smart as we can on what the schedule looks like for 2-4 between now and next October. We will have another one of these meetings on February 13th, and at that time we will have a lot more fidelity on the schedule, and the next folks who I'm going to introduce you to at the company staff level can also provide you fidelity on those schedules between now and then. So first up, I think we have Fox Company. Fox Company is commanded by Captain Vince Margiotta and his First Sergeant Guzman. And Gunny McFadden, is he here? Okay. Yeah, you want to introduce yourself?
So my name is Captain Vince Margiotta. I'm the CEO of Fox Company. Nothing else to really add. Part of 5th Marines, so anything, I know we have the one mom I already talked to for Vera's mom. Anything you need when we're done, we'll be up here for you. And this is First Sergeant Guzman.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First Sergeant Guzman, Fox 2-4. If you have any questions for me afterwards pertaining to administration or personnel, I'm here for you. And Gunner Sergeant McFadden.
Gunner Sergeant McFadden, Fox Company Gunner Sergeant, same thing. I'll be hanging around after this. If you have any questions that you want to ask out in the open audience, I'll hang around. You can ask me personally. I'll answer your questions.
Okay, next up we'll introduce you to the ECHO team, commanded by Captain Neil Jones.
Hey, Captain Neil Jones, ECHO Company Commander, easy company for affectionately known. First Sergeant's got a house full of Girl Scouts right now, and Gunny is T-ball mom for the night. So I'll be filling in for those guys if you got any questions for them. So thanks.
Okay, and then we've got Gulf Company, commanded by Captain Chuck Jedlicka and First Sergeant Holloway.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Chuck Jedlicka. I'm the CEO of Joker Company.
First, I'm Brian Holloway. Thank you for the families that came out here tonight. If you have any questions, we look forward to fielding those after the event's over.
Thanks. Okay, Headquarters and Service Company and Weapons Company. We got an interim stand-in for weapons. The XO, First Lieutenant Sean Price, is here because his boss is up at 29 Palms.
Lieutenant Sean Price, Weapons Company. You got any questions, come find me. Man behind the scenes doing all the training, so if you got anything for me, let me know. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, and Captain OK Iannacho and First Sergeant Villegas from Headquarters and Service Company.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Captain OK Iannacho. I'm H&S CEO. So I pretty much take care of the guys that take care of the rest of the battalion. So if you got any questions, just come find me later.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First Sergeant Villegas, H&S Company. We'll be down right here to answer your questions. Thank you for coming out. We have our company gunny, Sergeant Lewis, also here.
Okay, really, that's so you out in TV land and cyber land, you can put a name to the face you may call or email should you have questions about a particular issue that your son, daughter, or loved one has. Next thing we're going to do in this program is talk about the nearest thing that's coming up besides integrated training exercise that you're going to all be involved in, and that is the Marine Corps Birthday Ball. It's going to be a great event out in Las Vegas, and the guest speaker is a former Victor 2-4 commander and current commander of Marine Corps Recruiting Command, Major General Kennedy. So he'll give a great speech, I guarantee, but it'll be a real good party, and the XO is going to talk about it.
Or good evening, everyone. Major Adam Sacchetti, the XO for 2-4, like the Colonel said. So for the birthday ball, a lot of the Marines understand this, but just to make sure that the guests and the spouses understand, the ball's going to be on the 1st of December at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. Right now, the ticket sales are looking pretty strong. There's actually only a handful of tickets remaining, so we need to close that out. We do have the opportunity to increase the amount of seats at the ball by blocks of 200. So when we reach the 1,000-seat kind of limit, which we're almost at, as soon as we reach there, we can go up in increments of 200 as the demand calls for. So the important thing to do is buy your tickets right now if you haven't done so already, and then, like I said, we will grow in increments of 200 as we need. So ticket prices are on the board behind me. We've got E1 to E5 at $55, and then everybody else at $60. We're also going to have the opportunity to host a limited amount of non-unit guests, meaning individuals that either are in direct support of 2-4 or veterans/alumni of 2-4 as well. Again, if you're a service member or you have any questions, either contact Mark Sperling or the chain of command. We'll be sure to get you this information. Final point on this, the important thing about getting these tickets complete before we leave for ITX is when we get back, it's only a couple of days before Thanksgiving, and then when we come back from Thanksgiving, we have only a couple of work days before the ball. So we look forward to seeing everybody there. I think it's going to be a great event. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, December's a pretty festive month, and thankfully kind of akin to where we're at right now with Pacific Coast Church taking care of this event. The community of San Clemente is sponsoring our 2017 holiday party. For those of you who've been with 2-4 before, you've experienced this. For those of you who have not, it's pretty incredible. It's a beach bash, and it's going to occur on the 15th of December out at San Onofre Beach. It'll start about 11 a.m. There'll be food, there'll be Santa, there'll be bouncy houses, you name it, for friends, family, kids, and most importantly for the children, there's going to be a lot of toys to give away. It's an incredible, really generous gesture by the community of San Clemente. So put that on your calendars, 11 a.m. to probably 1 or 2 p.m. on the 15th at San Onofre Beach. Okay, so now we're going to dig into the schedule. This I've talked about with Sergeant Major online before, but we just kind of want to bring you up to date in calendar style. And if you do have questions in TV land, please text Mark in and we'll address them right now. Or in the audience, please just stop. But the big thing that's happening this month for your Marines and sailors is headed out to 29 Palms in the desert, and we're going to execute the integrated training exercise. Most of the Marines are going to leave on the 11th of October, and they're going to return on the 18th or 19th of October. There's about 75 Marines who already left yesterday or today, the 29 Palms, and they'll be out there for the duration. But a few other things we want to point out this month, and we've got some spouse volunteers in here, but this weekend at the Outlet Mall, there's been some volunteers that are going to help out the Marine Corps Heritage Foundation in support of a plaque that's been donated to the Semper Fi Park, and that plaque is to memorialize veterans who've paid the ultimate sacrifice in 2-4, and that plaque will be placed at Semper Fi Park. But it costs money, and we're going to provide some volunteers to raise money for that this weekend out at the Outlet Mall. The other big thing you can see on here is some family events that are creating spouse meet and greets. Tess Jones can give you more details, but really this month and next month, we're going to try to do a Eastern event out in Temecula, then a Western one, I think, here around Oceanside or San Clemente. But check out those online. But really, as we get more families into Bastard Nation before we deploy, these are great opportunities for folks to get to know each other before we all deploy. Mark consistently sends updates along with tests on these events online that are in yellow. Okay, so November, we talked about the end of November, which is going to be busy coming out of here, but if you have not been to a baby shower put on by MCCSS, it's pretty amazing. The amount of baby gear that they give you, whether it's towels, shampoo, clothes, is incredible. You leave with a trunk full of stuff for free. So if you got a kid coming or one just came recently, put that on your calendar. It's at the San Onofre Community Center. Your Marine or Sailor is going to come back from ITX, like I said, around the 18th or 19th of November. There's about 100 Marines who are going to be involved in a ball out in Dana Point on the 18th. It's going to be free. It's going to be a good event. So if they get selected for that, it's a good deal. It's at a beautiful hotel in Dana Point. On Thanksgiving, Thanksgiving for the service members, men and women, is a great thing around Camp Pendleton, and some of our strongest supporters come from the community to come in on base, and we're going to have really two events. One is going to occur on base, and we're asking for volunteers to come in and serve food to the Marines and sailors on Thanksgiving. Okay, so that's one event. The other event is for you, should you choose to, is down in Dana Point Harbor at Waterman's, which is a beautiful restaurant right where you pick up the ferry. And that's for service members to have Thanksgiving dinner for free, but you need to RSVP for that. So please check those events out if you haven't already seen them online. Mark and Tess have propagated the info. Now, getting into the ball, as you can see on the Thursday before the ball, your Marine or Sailor is going to be let off work around noon. Should you desire to go out to Vegas early and stay Thursday night, plan on your Marine or Sailor being able to leave about noon. And then they will execute the ball on Friday night at Caesar's Palace, as was briefed. And Tuesday morning, 06, is when your Marine or Sailor will need to be back at work. Okay? So, noontime Thursday, 06 on Tuesday. Next. Okay, December. We talked about what's going on for the ball and whatnot. The holiday party, I'm not going to hit that again, but mark your calendar with it. The leave blocks commence as they're up on the screen there on the 15th. So for you families out there, particularly if you're a newly enlisted Marine or Sailor into the Marine Corps or the Navy, you're going to have to talk to your son or daughter about how much leave they have on the books. You get 30 days of leave per year, but they may have burned it all up on boot leave, et cetera. So just coordinate with your son or daughter, and they can coordinate with the folks that I introduced you to on, hey, do I have the days to take leave, et cetera. But if they don't, frankly, the government's going to give them almost 10 days off for free in December, January. But the big takeaway, January holiday leave block ends at 06 on the 3rd. Okay, January, what's going on? We've got a pretty exceptional opportunity. If you haven't heard of the Credo retreats before, we just had one a couple weeks ago out in La Jolla. Typically, they are at luxury resorts in Southern California. It's an opportunity for couples to go conduct marriage enrichment on Uncle Sam's dime. The caveat is childcare is not provided, but nevertheless, it's a darn good opportunity should you and your spouse be able to take advantage of it with some childcare on your own dime. So take a look at that. The other piece I want to turn you on to is after Martin Luther King holiday, we are going to execute our Marine Corps Combat Readiness Exercise. That's really the culminating event that your Marine or Sailor is going to be involved in before we deploy. So it's going to be about a 10-day event, and when they get done that, they're going to be very tired. So around the 27th of January, your Marine or Sailor is going to be back, but they're going to be exhausted. So I wouldn't plan on hiking any mountains as a family that weekend. But after that, really, 2-4 is going to look to February to do a little bit more training and then get ready for deployment. We're going to be focused on deployment, and that's what I'm going to get into now. In February is the first iteration of what's called the advanced party, and I'm going to turn that over to Major Sacchetti again, because he's in charge of the advanced party, and he can unpack that a little bit more, what the heck that is.
So without going into too much detail, every unit in the Marine Corps that deploys as part of a global force management GFM requirements. Those requirements sometimes are kind of on a schedule or on a set rotation, like the deployment that we're going to be doing to Australia is, but the specific days and times of when each battalion or each unit is deploying out there varies from rotation to rotation. As you can understand, when we're doing our backwards planning and planning on the events that have to happen before the unit can deploy, those specific dates and the specific events that happen, such things as, final day of deployment and what day is my service member leaving and what days where the pre-deployment leave occur and things like that, those typically remain in flux until we get fairly close to the date that we actually deploy and have to be on the ground. Just a little bit behind the curtain, the unit's been working the last couple of weeks and trying to determine our date that we actually have to be on the ground in Australia. Once those dates are kind of finalized, we can start backwards planning to do things like turn over our gear set, do our pre-deployment leave, finish up our training, and things like that. The items that the families are really concerned about. When is my Marine leaving? When is my Marine going to be on leave? Things like that. And what we have here on the slide, as well as what I'm going to briefly discuss, is right now our best estimate based off of last year's rotation of the unit that we are going to kind of replace in Australia and what it looks like. So really what I'm saying here is the unit's actively working to identify these specific dates so we can have a much better schedule for the families and for the Marines so we can break down to specific days. Now, as far as the advanced party or ADVON is concerned, this particular deployment is kind of unique compared to a lot of different requirements that the Marine Corps does. This ADVON, typically ADVONs are a week or two ahead of the main body where they'll go and basically be a torch party to set up either billeting or set up training areas, things like that. Well, this ADVON is going to be a little bit larger in size, and we're going to leave a little bit earlier than most ADVONs do. I'll be leading the ADVON, and we actually have to go to a couple of different places before we go to Australia, the primary one being Okinawa, Japan, to get our gear that we're going to be training and using in Australia. So we'll probably leave 45 to 60 days before the main body and take 20 to 30 personnel with us on the ADVON. Your service member will know if they are part of this ADVON. Some of them know now, but they will know for sure by the time the holiday leave block rolls around in late December. Most of the Marines, especially most of the infantry Marines, probably won't be on the ADVON. This ADVON is comprised primarily of logisticians, administrators, and specialized operations Marines that will focus on establishing the training areas, the equipment set, and the billeting for the rest of the unit coming in. So right now, if you look at the slide, if you go back one mark to February, right now, if you look at the slide, our best estimate right now is first week, maybe second week of February is the ADVON's pre-deployment leave. Again, these dates will kind of solidify as we get more word. The ADVON deployment window we're looking at right now, probably the last week of February to the first week in March. And again, those dates will get a little bit closer. And I'll turn it back over to the commanding officer for the discussion of the main body movement.
So, first Marines out the gate are going to go to Australia and Japan to pick up some gear. And the rest of the Marines, which is the preponderance of them, will wait around till the last week of March and the first week in April. I say again, the last week in March and the first week in April is the tentative deployment window. Like I said, when and if you tune in to this February 13th, 2018 town hall meeting, there will be a lot more fidelity on what I just told you. So before that, before they deploy, is going to be a leave block. As you can see, maybe the second and third week of March will be when your Marine or sailor is going to have the opportunity to take leave. And again, you're going to have to coordinate with your son or daughter's chain of command to figure out if they actually have the days to go take that vacation. Okay. So we'll be in Australia. We'll get there early April. Next slide, please. And we will be in Australia, really, if you're on Advon, you'll be there till early September. If you are not on the advanced party, you'll be there until early October. All right. Australia is a great place, and as a result, should families, loved ones want to come down and experience this great place, if you'll fast forward to July, July is tentatively when we're going to try to get your Marine or sailor a 10-day leave block in Australia. Now, I want to reiterate that this is in Australia, so the option for your Marine to come back to California or anywhere off the Australian continent is off the table. Should a loved one want to come down and hang out with their Marine or sailor during that leave block, they are welcome to, but the Marine or sailor is not authorized to leave the Australian continent. So we'll have more fidelity on that because each company is going to be having a different schedule while in Australia. It won't be one entire leave block that's uniform throughout the battalion. What I can tell you right now, if you don't know anything about Australia, you need to know that it is expensive. Expensive. So if you're planning on going down there and taking some leave alongside your Marine or sailor, start saving. Okay. If you want to go to September, Mark. Okay, we talked about the main body deployment and redeployment. Early September is when the advanced party will come back to California. Late September, early October will be when the main body will come back. Okay, we'll keep you posted throughout. And one of the questions that was posed prior to this event was, hey, how's the connectivity going to be in Australia while my Marine or sailor is going to be there? It will be decent, okay? It will be sporadic sometimes. Why? Because your Marine or sailor is not going to be on Wi-Fi 24/7. This is the Marine Corps. They're going to be in the field, and there's going to be zero communication for extended periods of time. Other times, he or she will be back in a barracks environment where there'll probably be a Wi-Fi hotspot nearby. So the best thing to do is manage expectations and probably use the next 2 months as a good barometer, because your son or daughter or loved one is going to be in the field, totally out of communication, sometimes for weeks, and then they might come back up on the net for a day or two and then shove back out. So that's what you should prepare yourself for. But I also think you should contextualize where we're at right now, because not long ago we were able to communicate via U.S. Postal Service, and it was best day of the week was when the mail came in. So if we can get communications that are more frequent than that, absolutely, and that's why Mark Sperling is here. We're going to be pumping him information so he can keep the families and loved ones informed. Okay, let's go to October, and we'll be back in California. But as I mentioned about money, another question we had was, what's the paycheck going to look like when my Marine or sailor is in Australia? And once we're back at home plate here, we'll go back to whatever you're getting paid right now, but Sergeant Major Molina is going to unpack a little bit about what your Marine or sailor rates while he or she is in Australia. Sergeant Major.
Once again, Ambassador Nation, good evening. Sergeant Major Molina. All right, so I'm not going to go into detail as far as what you see up there, because there's a lot of information. Okay, the biggest thing from this, if you look at the very top, the Advon, whether you're going to Okinawa or straight to Australia, it's a small group. So you can kind of grease over that, because that's going to be for a short period of time. So it's not going to affect the main body. So when the main body gets up there, I did some math for Marines, so we're on the same sheet of music, because I want to make sure that you don't get mad at me or you don't chase me out of here with pitchforks, because if you think, for those of you that have been around for a while and you've been on common deployments where you make a lot of money and you have aspirations of getting a brand new vehicle when you get back, tough luck. It's not going to happen on this deployment. Okay, so like I said, I did the math for you. All right, so this is basically going to be based on married individuals. Okay, now, as you see at the bottom, I'm going to give you the takeaways what it is, but it's basically based on the majority that we have is, in here in this audience, is married Marines. All right, so what you're going to get is family separations, $250 a month. Okay, that's because you're away from your family. Okay, on top of that, you're going to get $2.10. So if you average out a month, 30 days, that averages to $63 a month. Add that together, and now you subtract $10.45. Okay, because while we're there, we don't have places that we can go out and eat. We don't have a house, so we got to eat at the chow house. So we're going to eat either at Robertson Barracks, or if you go to the Royal Australian Air Force Base, you're going to eat there. They provide the food, so it's going to be $10 a day. So if you average it out, 30 days, it's $313.50. So now if you subtract that from the FSA plus the deployment per diem, it evens out almost. So if you're married, the takeaway, what it says at the bottom, you're going to break almost even. Now, if you're a single Marine that lives in the barracks, because they pay more than $10.45 a day to eat at the chow hall, they're probably going to make a little bit of money. Okay, now if you're a single staff or officer, you might lose a little bit of money. Okay, so that's the biggest takeaway from that. So again, you need to make sure that for those individuals here, or specifically the junior ones that are out there and watching this, make sure you plan accordingly. Okay, live within your means. Okay, because at the end of the day, this is a normal deployment, not a combat deployment, so you're not going to get all those other entitlements that we would see. So again, like it says at the bottom, big takeaways, that is the biggest thing from here. Now, if there's anything else to add fun there, once we get in theater, we'll pass some more information when we have the next town hall meeting. If we have any more amplifying information, we will. But this is pretty much what it is. All right, that's all I got, sir. Thank you.
So Australia is a good deal. It's a good deployment. We are able to do some extraordinary high-level training down there. We signed a 25-year security agreement with the country of Australia in 2014. So the Marine Corps is on its 7th rotation of Marines in Australia in 2018. So we're not going to go down there and atrophy. We're going to come back a more lethal unit when we arrive at Camp Pendleton in October. We are going to have our own aviation in direct support of us co-located. Next year we can expect around a dozen helicopters in direct support of 2-4, and we're going to have a logistics element that's directly in support of 2-4. So it's going to be a busy deployment, and your Marine or sailor is going to get some extraordinary experience. And we are going to the South Pacific at a critical time in our global security environment right now. The saber rattling and the winds of war are blowing strong in North Korea, as can be seen on the news every day, but also the foreign fighters that are flowing back from the Middle East into the Pacific region are increasing. So there's no shortage of work to be done for the U.S. Marines in the Pacific AOR. So whether we are in Australia for the entirety of the deployment or we get deployed somewhere else, Mark Sperling and the Family Readiness team will certainly keep you informed of what we can tell you, but there may be some things that he tests and we cannot tell you just for security's sake. But rest assured that your Marine and sailor will be very well prepared if we do get put into harm's way. Okay, so what you see here is a consolidated form of the calendars we just reviewed. Marines love to work hard, but we like to play hard, and that's why this is up there, so you can plan accordingly. Other than that, I'm going to open it up for questions here and in the virtual world. We got any? Okay. Any secret shopper questions, commanders, staff, first sergeants that have come out that need to be addressed?
I got a question, sir.
Yep.
For different companies traveling to different locations in Australia and how it's going to plan out, for anyone who goes underway on a vessel, an Australian vessel, is there the possibility to receive tax-free money based on the routes that they take to different places, or is that only on the U.S. vessel?
Yeah, good question. So the question was, should a Marine or sailor embark an Australian ship while deployed, can they receive tax-free money? Great question. We'll get that back out to the staff once we figure it out and let people know. Why is that important? Some of you might be looking at re-enlisting next summer, and if you could do it tax-free, that'd be a smart thing to do. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Like I said, out in Cyberland, thanks for tuning in. And for those of you who did tune in and think some other people would benefit from this information, please pass on the link. It'll be up for about 60 days. And really want to thank again the Pacific Coast Church and the crew here for hosting the Magnificent Bastards.